So this was a prompt I got from a friend to draw some femme skins. So I'm just roughing in the poses now. Whenever I'm sketching, I like to use random bright colors. I think it helps keep me loose in my lines and not get too locked into what I'm doing. Because I guess the point of a underdrawing is to just stay loose and get all the gestures right. And I guess why I chose this style for this piece is, I don't know, I think it's kind of like quite angular, and I think of like skinheads kind of like sort of punk, sort of like counterculture. It sort of fit thematically, and also I knew I was drawing two characters, so that's like 4 feet and 4 hands, and I really like drawing hands. I hate drawing feet, but I didn't want to spend heaps of time like rendering hands. That was like not on the agenda. So I've come in now doing the lining on top of it. I often start my line work in black and then maybe change the color later if it suits the drawing better. I really like colored line work at the moment, so I've been doing a lot of that. So as you can tell, I like to use pretty thick lines, especially for like this kind of style of drawing. I think it looks pretty nice. I also, fun fact, have a little tremor in my hand, so I think thick lines kind of hide that shakiness a bit better than if I was to go in with something that's real small and detailed. It just turns into a wiggly mess. Oh yeah, going back on style, I wanted to draw some characters who were femmes, and I thought, okay, they should have like a cool makeup look, but I hate drawing makeup, so I kind of wanted to imply that by making the eyes and like the lips bigger, because you use kind of makeup to accentuate parts of your body. So I'm like, well, I'll literally accentuate them by making them proportionately large. So as you can see, I kind of halfway through the lining, I switch back to sketching a bit because I realized the pose is pretty wrong. And even where I end up, I think the character on the left, their kind of pelvis doesn't quite line up properly with their shoulders, but you know, what can you do? Draw with reference, I guess. That's actually something I need to practice doing a bit more. I also struggled quite a lot with how this skirt should sit on a character that's sitting down and has like one leg up. I contemplated changing the outfits between the two, but I'd already done all the line work on the character on the right and just was not bothered going back into it. You'll see me constantly like redrawing poses on this. But yeah, I don't mind how that pose ended up. I think it looks okay. The anatomy is maybe a little bit busted, but I think because it's quite stylized, you get away with it. So yeah, I'm going back in, finishing the lines. Sometimes I like to thin them out a bit more later on with an eraser, because again, that helps it look smoother. Then I am able to sketch. You can see I keep fussing around with whether I want this kind of ledge in the background, because we do have a character kind of sitting on nothing at the moment, and I wanted the ledge to kind of make that make sense, but then you had all these kind of tangents going on, by which I mean like the line was coming out of an awkward part, so it almost makes it look like the finger is extending way too long or something, because your brain kind of like merges all the lines together. It's a bit messy. So yeah, I ended up just doing this little blue circle shadow thing, which is, you know, not a great background, but it's okay. And I don't know, someone help me do backgrounds. Yeah, so I'm just blocking in colors now. I really like monochromatic color palettes at the moment. And I chose to do these characters in the same kind of color scheme because, I don't know, they're tight. They're just chilling. Something I didn't do when coloring this time was putting a layer behind the actual flats themselves. That's just a mid-tone grey, so like 50% white, 50% black. And that can really help you when you're putting in colours, because when you put colour on top of that, you can really get a better sense of how many sort of like dark colours you've got, how many light colours you've got. It kind of helps you figure out if you've got enough contrast going on, better than just having a white background. But I wasn't bothered to do that this time, but I would recommend doing that. can see now I'm doing a lot more of the shading. With my shadow layers, I like to get sort of crisp lines, kind of a bit like cell shading. I cheat a bit by just using a multiply layer and some tone of grey. Sometimes I mix a bit of blue in there as well to make the shadows a bit cooler. Can't remember if I did that this time. I'm pretty bad at thinking about 3 dimensions when I'm working 2-dimensionally, so I kind of just put shadows where you would expect them to be, so like under something that's jutting out like a chin. If there's like say an arm in front of a body, I'd put a shadow onto that. But other than that, I kind of just put them where I think they look good, and I try to be like somewhat consistent with where the light is maybe coming from, but I don't worry about it too much. Oh, here I'm detailing the pants. I tried to do a little bit of sort of hatching to get this sort of pinstripey pattern, but gave up on that pretty quickly. So what I've done instead, which is pretty cool, is I've literally just brought in a tartan pattern, made it black and white by going to image adjustments and taking out the saturation in a hue and saturation effect. And then I've just transformed it and used the warp feature to kind of bend it roughly to the shape of the pants. Then I've just changed the blend mode to, I think, an overlay, which kind of blends it in with the colors a bit better. Okay, yeah, I'm just adding some details now. I wanted to give these characters a bit of body hair, so you got one with like a moustache and one with some arm hair, and I thought, I don't know, I like that, because I think ideas of like, you know, whether someone's like femme or masc kind of trade a lot on stereotypes of femininity and masculinity and kind of end up meaning very little. So I think it exists purely in this place of, you know, personally what's femme to you, and then societally what is perceived as femme. So I'm kind of like, what does it mean? If you told me someone had a femme aesthetic, I could imagine something totally different to what their aesthetic actually is. And yeah, there's the finished piece. It's okay.